Have you ever laid next to your partner and felt like you were miles apart? Have you ever wanted to say something but held back because, honestly, what's left to say? Marriage doesn't fall apart in a single moment. It fades over time, little by little, in ways that go unnoticed, until one day, you wake up and realize the person who once meant everything now feels like a stranger. The real danger isn't the big fights. It's when the fights stop. When a woman, after 62 years of marriage, sits in silence and asks herself, "Am I truly happy?" And sometimes the answer isn't about falling out of love. It's about not feeling loved anymore. Most people don't see it coming. At first, it's just a conversation that never happens. Then, it's the quiet dinners where two people sit together but live in separate worlds. And over time, the warmth disappears, not in a dramatic way, but in the small, unnoticed moments. Love doesn't shatter. It simply fades, replaced by routine, obligation, and a life shared but no longer truly lived together. So why does this happen? Why do women who once gave their hearts to a marriage slowly withdraw? Not physically, but emotionally. What are the real reasons behind this quiet distance? And more importantly, can anything be done before love becomes just another memory? If any of this feels familiar, don't hesitate to share your thoughts, or simply type number 9, because sometimes one small action can help someone find exactly what they need. Number 1. The emotional burden becomes too heavy. Here's something most men don't realize. Being a wife isn't just about love. It's about being the planner, the organizer, the problem solver. It's remembering birthdays, scheduling doctor's appointments, keeping the household running smoothly. It's making sure everyone is taken care of. But the real question is, who takes care of her? When she was younger, she probably didn't think much about it. She loved her family. She loved her husband. And she did it all with devotion. But over time, something changed. Not because she stopped loving, but because she started feeling exhausted. She started realizing that for years, maybe decades, she's been carrying it all alone. And the hardest part, her husband might not even notice. She's not asking for grand gestures. She just wants to hear, "I see you. I appreciate everything you do." But if those words never come, if everything she's done is simply expected, never acknowledged, then one day, she stops trying. Not because she doesn't care anymore, but because she's tired of loving someone who never truly saw how much she gave. Number 2. The lack of meaningful communication. In the beginning, conversations were effortless. "How was your day? What are you thinking about? Tell me about your dreams." There was curiosity, laughter, a deep desire to understand each other. But over time, the words started to fade. The conversations became routine, about dinner, bills, errands. Or worse, they disappeared completely. She still talks, but does he really listen? She shares her thoughts, her worries, her feelings, but instead of engagement, she's met with a distracted nod, a half-hearted response, or silence. And after years of this, something inside her shifts. She stops sharing, not because she has nothing left to say, but because she's tired of speaking to someone who isn't really there. What most men don't realize is that women don't just need companionship, they need connection. They want to be heard. They want to feel like their thoughts matter. And when that disappears, it's not just the words that are lost, it's the bond. And here's the heartbreaking truth. When a woman no longer feels seen, she stops trying to be noticed. When she no longer feels heard, she stops speaking. And when she stops speaking, love doesn't end in a loud explosion. It just fades, quietly, until one day, the man she once shared everything with becomes just a person she shares a house with. Number 3. The never-ending burden of housework. It starts small. A sink full of dishes, clothes left on the floor, a messy table after dinner. She picks up, she cleans, she organizes, because that's what she's always done. But as the years pass, something shifts. She starts to wonder, why am I still the only one doing this? For decades, she's been the invisible force keeping the household together. She didn't complain when the kids were young, when life was chaotic, when there was always something that needed to be done. But now, the children are grown, life has slowed down, and yet, she's still the one carrying the weight of it all. Her husband, he may not even notice. Maybe he assumes she doesn't mind, that she's just better at keeping things organized. Maybe he thinks, after all these years, this is just the way things are. But here's what he doesn't see. Every dish left in the sink, every task left for her to handle, isn't just about housework. It's a reminder that even after a lifetime together, she is still expected to do it all. And so, resentment builds, not because of the chores themselves, but because of what they represent. She doesn't want to feel like the housekeeper of her own home. She doesn't want to spend her later years picking up after a man who doesn't even realize the burden she's carrying. She doesn't need perfection. She doesn't need grand gestures. She just needs to feel like she's not in this alone. Because love isn't just about the big things. It's about the small, everyday choices. And when one person keeps doing all the work while the other simply exists within the comfort of it, love starts to feel a lot like exhaustion. Number 4. She grows, but he doesn't. At some point she realizes she's not the same woman she was years ago. She's grown. She's changed. Her interests have expanded. Her outlook on life has evolved. She wants to explore, learn new things, meet new people. But her husband, he's exactly the same. Same routines. Same mindset. Same conversations. In the beginning, it didn't bother her. She was busy, raising kids, managing a home, keeping life together. But now, with more time to reflect, she starts to feel it. The gap between them. The difference in who they've become. She's moving forward, but he's standing still. And that's when it happens. She starts doing things on her own, not out of resentment, but out of necessity. She takes trips without him. She picks up new hobbies he has no interest in. She builds a life outside of their marriage, not because she wants to leave him behind, but because he refuses to move forward with her. He doesn't have to be perfect. He doesn't have to change everything overnight. But he has to show up. He has to grow with her, not just exist beside her. Because the truth is, love isn't just about staying together. It's about evolving together. And when one person outgrows the relationship while the other stays the same, the distance isn't just emotional. It becomes a reality. Number 5. The loss of physical and emotional intimacy. At first, it's subtle. The way he stops reaching for her hand. The way he kisses her goodbye without really noticing. The way their conversations feel more like updates than real connection. She tells herself it's just life, just routine. But deep down, she feels it. The distance. It's not just about physical intimacy. It's about the small moments, the lingering eye contact, the way he used to make her feel wanted, seen, desired. Over time, that spark fades. Not because they don't love each other, but because they stopped showing it. And here's the painful part. He may not even realize it's happening. He may assume everything is fine because they still live together, still share a life. But what he doesn't see is how much she misses feeling like more than just a wife, more than just a familiar presence in the house. She misses feeling wanted. She doesn't expect grand gestures. She doesn't need constant passion. But she does need to feel like she still matters to him in that way. Because love isn't just about companionship. It's about connection. And when a woman no longer feels that connection, she doesn't leave right away. She withdraws, little by little, until one day she's there, but her heart isn't. Number 6. Retirement changes everything, but not always for the better. Retirement. It's supposed to be the golden years, the time to relax, to enjoy life together. But for many couples, it's the beginning of something unexpected, frustration, boredom, even resentment. For years, they had a rhythm. He went to work. She managed the home, or had her own responsibilities. There was space, balance. But then everything changes. Suddenly, he's home all the time. No schedule, no direction, no sense of purpose. And whether he realizes it or not, he starts relying on her to fill his time, to entertain him, to give his days meaning. At first, she tries. She plans things, makes suggestions, encourages him to pick up hobbies. But if he refuses to engage, if he simply settles into a routine of doing nothing, she starts feeling trapped. The life she imagined, one where they would enjoy their freedom together, starts to feel suffocating. She didn't sign up to be his entertainment committee. She didn't expect retirement to mean spending every hour managing his boredom. She wanted peace, adventure, maybe even a little time for herself. But instead, it feels like just another obligation, another role she has to play. And that's when the resentment sets in. Not because she doesn't love him, but because she feels like she's lost herself in the process. She wanted retirement to be a new beginning, but instead, it's starting to feel like the end of something she can't quite put into words. Number 7. She no longer feels heard or appreciated. It's not the arguments that hurt the most. It's not even the silence. It's the feeling of speaking and realizing no one is really listening. For years, she was the backbone of the family, the one who kept things running, who remembered the little details, who made life easier for everyone. She never asked for much, just to be acknowledged, to be seen, to be valued. But somewhere along the way, that stopped happening. She still tries. She shares her thoughts, her feelings, her worries. But instead of real engagement, she gets half-hearted nods, distracted responses, or worse, indifference. And after a while, something inside her shifts. She stops trying. Not because she has nothing left to say, but because she's tired of feeling invisible. A woman doesn't need grand gestures. She doesn't need flowers or extravagant words. She just needs to feel like her voice still matters, that her presence still means something, that after 62 years of love and sacrifice, she is still more than just someone who exists in the background. But when that recognition never comes, when she feels unheard long enough, she doesn't fight. She doesn't argue. She just withdraws, little by little. And once a woman stops trying, once she stops believing she matters in her husband's eyes, that's when love doesn't just fade. It disappears. Number 8. She realizes life is short, and she wants more. Something happens when you reach a certain age. You start to see life differently. You lose friends. You attend more funerals than weddings. You wake up one day and realize time is running out. And that's when she starts asking herself questions she never dared to before. Am I truly happy? Is this the life I want for the years I have left? Do I feel loved or just comfortable? For decades, she put everyone else first. She was a wife, a mother, the steady force that held everything together. But now, she starts thinking about herself, what she wants, what she needs. And if the answers don't bring her peace, she begins to withdraw, not out of anger, but out of self-preservation. She doesn't want to argue. She doesn't want to beg for attention. She doesn't want to spend whatever time she has left feeling unseen, unheard, unappreciated. And so, she shifts. Not dramatically, not all at once, but little by little. She stops trying to fix something that no longer feels fixable. She stops waiting for change that isn't coming. She stops hoping that one day he'll finally see her the way he once did. She simply lets go. Not because she doesn't care anymore, but because, for the first time in her life, she's choosing herself. Love doesn't disappear in a single moment. It fades in the small, unnoticed ones. A woman doesn't wake up one day and decide to stop loving her husband. It doesn't happen overnight. It happens in the quiet moments, the ones no one pays attention to. It happens when she speaks and no one listens, when she gives and no one notices, when she carries the weight of the relationship and no one offers to share it. Love doesn't just die because of one big mistake. It fades when the small moments of neglect pile up. When a woman feels unseen for too long, unheard for too long, unappreciated for too long, she doesn't leave right away. She withdraws, first emotionally, then mentally, and sometimes even physically. But does it have to be this way? No. Love is a choice. And just as it fades, it can also be reignited. It doesn't take grand gestures. It takes presence. It takes effort. It takes truly seeing the person who's been beside you for 62 years and choosing, every single day, to remind them that they still matter. If you're a husband watching this, ask yourself, when was the last time you really listened to your wife? When was the last time you made her feel valued? Not just as a partner, but as a person. And if you're a wife feeling this distance, ask yourself, is there still a way back? Is there still room to reconnect before it's too late? Marriage isn't about reaching a destination. It's about continuously choosing each other, even as the years change you. Because at the end of the day, love isn't lost with age. It's lost when we stop nurturing it. If any of this resonates with you, don't hesitate to share your thoughts, or simply type number 9. Because sometimes, one small action can help someone find exactly what they need.